What's up, you Arbor Freaks? This podcast episode is brought to you by Honeydew. Drink the milk of paradise. On a saucer full of secrets, on the dark side of a moon, take the train back to Bangkok, don't hit the wall on your way out. Welcome to Arbor Creek's Battle Supreme. If you like this podcast, make sure you give it a follow, leave us a rating and review, and check out arborcreektheband.com for all our social handles and information. I'm joined alongside here by David Drilling, Frank Dvorak, Larry Huff, and I'm Alex Ford. David, take us away. Tell us who we're doing today.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ow! Banging my ear holes, am I right?
Wake up, because it's time for the Battle Supreme. On today's episode, we have two phenomenal bands, as we usually do. Today we have PiNk FlOyD VeRsES RuSh.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
Before we even start, all great bands we've done so far, but this is probably the hardest competition. To me, this is going to be the hardest one so far, so I'm excited.
And for anyone out there who's thinking, why PiNk FlOyD VeRsES RuSh? So it's not like they're the same type of whatever. We don't care.
Exactly.
We're doing what we want. I've had a few people ask, why would you do? No, sorry. If you're listening, we're doing what we want. There doesn't have to be a good reason.
You can suggest, but you can't deny the fact that we get to control the show.
We'll take all your suggestions. We'll definitely hear you out. But at the end of the day, we want to put two bands up against each other. That's what we're going to do.
A wise man once said, I don't make the rules, I just follow them. I'm sitting right across from him.
Yeah.
He's a fucking genius.
That's Frank's line. That's his line. Anyway, PiNk FlOyD VeRsES RuSh. Two great bands. Different realms of music, but similar in ways. Let's kick it off. Let's get right into it. We're going to talk about the vocals, the 1-point question in our first round. Yeah, I mean, so much to say there. I guess, Geddy Lee, and then you have the, multi-vocals of FlOyD.
True.
So, who wants to kick it off?
I'll start.
Larry,
Step up to the plate.
give it.
See, it's weird that you could think about it in different ways because I guess not. Just on straight vocals, I would say Geddy Lee, but he's not a lyricist, though.
Neil Peart is.
Neil Peart was a lyricist, right? But I guess if we're just talking about just straight vocals, then I won't even bring that up.
You
but
could
then
put lyrical content in there as well.
Totally.
True.
Doesn't
You
have to be
definitely
just
count
because
it.
Neil Peart doesn't sing. It don't really matter.
It's still just okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, with PiNk FlOyD, you go through the eras. I mean, Roger Waters and David Gilmour both sang in the heart of the band, the heart years of the band. Sid Barrett, obviously, before that. I mean, I love them both, but I would probably have to go with RuSh because I just like the longevity of Geddy Lee just being the singer the whole time and just being the guy, the singer of the band. Where in PiNk FlOyD, like you said, they kind of all juggle around, and I love them all, both, So, but yeah, I'm gonna stick with RuSh and Geddy Lee.
Cool. I like that.
Fine choice.
Who's going up next?
Frank, go for it.
All right, I'll take a crack at it. So like you were saying, Larry, about the lyrics, I am going to go with that. So RuSh has, in my opinion, more of a fantasy lyrics. And then PiNk FlOyD has more of the introspective stuff. That alone, I'd probably go with FlOyD. But then again, you have Geddy Lee, just a fucking monster on the vocals. But I kind of like the fact that PiNk FlOyD, you get, after Sid Barrett's gone, I liked his voice a lot. But then you get two sides of the singing. You get, the way Roger Waters sings, and you get the way that David Gilmour sings. So I'm going to have to go with PiNk FlOyD on this one.
See, you talked yourself out of it because
Yep.
it sounded like you're going RuSh first.
I think there's some great points there. Definitely feel you.
So I guess that's me, huh?
Yep.
So, Geddy Lee gets a lot of flack on the vocals. He definitely was not critically acclaimed. Everyone talked a lot of shit. Sound like he was like, I heard like a fucking mouse on helium and all that shit. He got ripped apart from all the mags back in the day. But I do love Geddy Lee's voice personally. It definitely just speaks to me, and they're one of my favorite bands of all time. But that being said, I think I'm gonna go with Floyd. I'm gonna give him the edge on this one because you have more. There's just more there vocally because you have the combination of Waters and Gilmore, and also you have a lot of background vocals on all the songs. And I also like how their vocals complement each other because Gilmore's voice is kind of more sweet, sweet sounding, softer sounding, and Roger Waters. Now, I don't think he's the greatest singer in the world, but it has character, and when he sings, it's him. Like he goes. Sometimes he's going really deep and kind of talking, and sometimes he does the yelling,
the screech.
Yeah, the screeching and stuff. And both bands have great lyrical content. And both bands move me in different aspects for their lyrics. But for the pure aspect that there's just more there for me, I'm gonna go with Floyd for vocals.
There we go.
Wow. He did it.
I would also be leaning towards Floyd on this one. I like them both a lot. Along the lines of what Al was saying, with Geddy Lee being kind of torn apart. Personally, I find him to be a little whiny and nerdy.
That's
sounding.
the point.
Yes, but in my taste, not a huge fan of it. Not saying he's bad. He's great. He's got songs I can get down with, but with Floyd, I think there's just more range of what the vocals can do, and I like the way they use it with the music, and I feel like there's just a little bit more there for me on that end. But I do feel like Floyd's vocals sometimes can be a little bit lackluster sometimes, and can be a little too little, too mellow. So, I mean, again, they're both great, but I have to lean towards Floyd on this.
I feel like from a cover aspect, it would be easier for people to sing Pink Floyd songs
Yeah.
than Rush songs. And then
That's
if
a
you see
range-
somebody
that's a
somewhere,
range thing,
yeah,
like, you know.
yeah,
But to be fair,
totally.
no, most people can't do Rush songs. Period.
Yeah, that is true.
There's a lot of butchered Rush covers out there, I'm sure.
Jesus.
So, yeah, Floyd with the dub there. Let's move on to guitar. Talk about the guitar work. Alex Lifeson and, Gilmore, if you want to put Sid in there or whatever. Al, want to start it off? Who are you taking on guitar?
Honestly, I love Gilmore. I'm giving love to Alex Lifeson here because I'm going to say verbatim, he's the most underrated guitar. It drives me crazy. Most underrated player in the entire world. It's almost not fair because you're behind the greatest rhythm section of all time.
Yep.
And, dude, really listen. He does it all. He shreds. Go back. Anyone wants a plug, listen to La Villa Stringato. The part where it slows down. It's guts.
Oh, yeah.
He does, the volume thing. And then it just grows and grows and grows. And, he's got so many songs like that. And just the things he does, he could shred. And also he could play with soul. And he's just got so much prowess. All the members in that band, they're super precise. But, so is Gilmore, too. And I'm not knocking him. It's just, I love Gilmore as well. He's got the Gilmore bend. Everyone says that. You doing the bends, Gilmore, a nice strat. He's great, too. But I'm giving the edge to Alex Lifeson just because of how fucking underrated he is. And it's almost not fair, to be honest. So I'm going Alex Lifeson.
It's easy to be underrated when you're in a band with, the best drummer and bass player of all time.
Yeah.
He's one of the greatest guitar players of all time.
I know,
too.
but you're going to be overshadowed.
Yep.
It's just going to happen naturally.
There's a lot going on
Yeah.
for a three-piece.
Larry, who are you going to take?
This is a really difficult one for me. I love them both so much. And I agree 110% with Alex that Alex Lifeson is the most underrated guitar player on the main stage of rock bands ever. And he should just be respected. Not that he's not respected, but and it is totally understandable with the rhythm section, like Al was saying. Whatever, I disagree with what he was saying totally. As my personal opinion, and my personal, we'll get into the influence thing later. I love David Gilmour's playing, and I feel like I can connect with it when I play, and I do love Rush and Alex Lifeson, but I'm gonna go with David Gilmour, and yeah, I'm gonna go with my final answer, David Gilmour.
All right. Frank?
Also a tough one for me. I mean, I don't play guitar, but I love guitar. You know, Lifeson is like the unsung hero of Rush, but Gilmour just does something different, you know? It's just a different type of playing. Very emotional. Like a crying woman. So yeah, I'm going with Gilmour on this one.
Right.
I want to say one thing.
Yeah.
Like, David Gilmour and the guitar in Pink Floyd is so much more of a piece of the puzzle than Alex Lifeson is in Rush.
I could agree with that.
So that is kind of a thing there. It's way more of a voice in the band. David Gilmour is not, obviously, we all know about Rush, and it's like the piece of the pie is, equal all three ways around. But that's kind of another reason. But I would say, ability-wise, I mean, if we're just talking just tick for tack, I mean, Alex Lifeson could, I would say, definitely outplay David Gilmour on a guitar.
Yeah, I would see that.
But
That
still
doesn't
leaning,
make him better, though.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. I'm still leaning Gilmour, but
Yeah.
I
I
just
want to
think
take
Gilmour,
notice on Alex Lifeson because I just feel like he's just a G. So.
he just grooves more,
Yeah.
Gilmour.
I think David Gilmour is possibly the most tasteful
Yes.
guitar player to like ever do it. Like everything he plays has a purpose, has every note has a meaning. It's a part of the whole. There's nothing there that's just being thrown out there. It's all like part of the message and the song and the story. And I think it all just has a lot of weight to it. And they're both phenomenal, but yeah, I mean, I would lean towards Gilmour on this one myself. But Lifeson is also incredibly great.
And you look like him.
And
Yeah.
especially the young him, I think, and there's a little bit of that there.
And the kimono.
I mean, you could literally have seas of people waiting in like an atmospheric sound for like 5 to 10 minutes just to hear David Gilmour bend one note. And people will wait, including myself, for that very moment, and it will hit you, and it will be what you wanted. And it's just crazy that somebody can capture you in that way. With one note in that amount of time, David Gilmour can do that, and he will take you there.
I got to give a shout out to the guitar solo on Money. I think it's one of my favorite guitar solos of all time.
Raunchy.
It's great.
It's so good. Like, the whole song is good, but when they pick it up for that section and they just start going so hard, and the guitar solo would just, oh my God, dude. It's so good. Like, go listen to that. Like, you got to just go back and listen to that solo. It's so fire.
Wow, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I mean. It's so good. It's like, and I can say, like, he's got a lot of like blues in there. I feel like, you know.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's probably why I lean towards him too. It's just like, you know, it gets me in the heart and the soul a little bit. So yeah, let's move on to the bass guitar. We're gonna have Roger Waters and Geddy Lee. Let's start it off at Frank and work the way around.
You know, I mean, this really is a tough one. These two
Harder
bands.
than you think.
I would never want to pick between the two, but we have to. This is the job. We got to stick to our guns. So if I'm just going, like, with what feels better to me, I guess I'd say Roger Waters, because he just grooves more in that realm of like an old Motown bass player. Like, I don't know. Like, Pink Floyd was a prog band, but they weren't like prog like Rush was, you know? It's different. But Geddy Lee, I mean, I don't know. They both have bass lines where you could sing them,
Yes.
you know? But yeah, and this, aspect, I'd have to go with Waters. You know,
Larry, what are you thinking?
Love them both. Roger Waters has such a good understanding of time. No pun intended to the song. But he's right there when you need him, and he's like a metronome. Geddy Lee is that, but he has such more of a melodic feel. And I feel like I could recognize Geddy Lee's bass parts over Roger Waters in the long run. Love them both. I'm going Geddy Lee from Rush. And shout out to David Gilmour for playing bass on some songs on Animals. I believe he's a bass player on Sheep. And he does play the bass on Hey You, the big slide.
Oh, really?
That's David Gilmour.
Oh, man. Well, I'll have to change my answer.
I just recently found that out. Yeah, I just recently looked into that. So, yeah, shout out David Gilmour for being on bass for some recordings. But I'm going Geddy Lee.
Wicked.
You know, I will say I'm gonna go into this. I'm going Geddy Lee for the sheer fact when you go back to episode 1, I said there's top 3 bass players. Geddy Lee's in there. It would be John Paul Jones, Geddy Lee, and Geezer Butler. Those are my 3 favorite all time. The reason why I play. So for that reason alone, I'm going Geddy Lee. I mean, but the thing I'll say about Roger Waters is he does a lot more with less. And I think you could put Roger Waters in a bunch of different situations and a bunch of different bands and he'd fit right in. And Geddy Lee can only fit in Rush. I feel that way about all the players in Rush. It's like, but that's what makes them great. It's because they're fucking Rush. Yep. And they're great for that. That's how I feel about myself. I'm not the greatest bass player in the world. I'm not bad. I'm not great. But I'm great for this. You know what I mean? And I think there's a lot.
You know?
Yeah, and there's a lot to be said about that. And I mean, he kind of created a whole new way of looking at the bass guitar and playing melodically. And he was kind of playing like that on the first album, but like, you know, Neil Peart pushed him there. You know what I mean? And he's playing with him too. It's based off of your drummer too, is, you know, I think that works both ways. You know, you match the bass player matches the drummer. And it works both ways.
Bada bing, bada boom.
But Roger Waters, he's just so tasteful. And it's just the little things, you know, sliding from an octave, doing the little hammer-on things he does. I mean, talking about the guitar solo, fucking money. We just saw him not too long ago. And, I mean, by the time this episode drops, it'll be a few weeks ago or a month ago or something like that. And I was like, you know, he doesn't really play bass nowadays, you know, as much. But the whole second set, as soon as he plugged it in, it was him. Yeah, you knew it.
You could tell.
You could totally tell. So I love them both in their own way. And I think the older I get, I'm playing less. And I'm making the things I play mean that much more when I play. So I would even say, like, I think I genuinely sound like both of them. But I played more like Geddy when I was younger, because it's like when you're younger, you're like, I want to fucking play, you know, like and shit like that. But, yeah, I know I'm rambling here. I honestly love them both, and like it's hard. They're both good in their own ways. But yeah, like I said, I'm going Geddy just because he got me here. So for sure, Geddy.
All right.
Ramble on, Al.
God bless. Wrong band. Episode 1.
Well, I don't have much more to say. Pretty much, you guys covered all of that for me. Feel the same way. They're both really good in their own, you know, their own realms, and yeah, I mean, Geddy's Geddy.
So Geddy is your final answer.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys covered it all for me, though. Same, I would have said all the same stuff. Sometimes I have stuff to add, but you guys kind of nailed all of it there. The whole less with more thing, totally. And then, but like you said, Geddy's, I think, just more innovative of a bass player.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's just, you hear him and it's him, and there's no one else that was doing that and people have tried to follow that, So
And I would also say, like, I feel like Frank talked about this a couple episodes ago. It's like, if you ask more bass players who their favorite bass player is, they're going to say Geddy Lee. And that doesn't mean Roger Waters is a bad player, but he's more of a songwriter.
yes,
You know what I mean? So
totally.
that could be a thing, too.
Yep. Well, let's move on to the drums. Our last one-pointer for this episode. Nick Mason, Neil Peart, Pierre. Al, kick it off.
Honestly, it's kind of the same thing. You know what I mean? The less is more thing. Nick Mason's a great drummer. But, I mean, I'm going up. The fucking doctor. It's Neil Peart, dude.
Professor.
He is a metronome. And you just... People who don't really listen to Rush, listen to the first album and then listen to Fly By Night. That's when they became Rush. It's when Neil Peart joined the band. Instantly, like, that's Rush.
Yep.
And he is very integral to the sound of the band. And everything he does, he's super, like, tight with his playing. But, he's also, like, very musical with his playing. He has all the... I don't know how to talk about all that time stuff. Like, he just does some crazy shit. And fun fact for Neil Peart, one of the greatest drummers in the world said, I could learn more, and he went and studied jazz with, what is his name, Buddy Gruber or something like that, and he relearned everything he did. He switched to the traditional grip in, like, the second half of his career.
Yep.
And he did a Buddy Rich tribute. It's like, literally, no one can tell him shit, and he goes, I want to learn more, because I'm the greatest, you know what I mean? And, like, it just shows that, like, even, it's inspiring. Like, you could be the greatest in the world and still want to learn more. Like, to me, like, that alone, it's just, like, honestly, rest in peace. It doesn't even feel real that he's gone sometimes, seriously. But, go back to the carb commercial, man. Fly By Night, air drumming. Yeah, he's one of those drummers I like air drumming too as well. So, yeah, Neil Peart.
There.
Yeah, I mean, let's not beat a dead horse here. Neil Peart, for everything Al said. Nothing but love for Nick Mason. Neil Peart all the way.
All right. Frankie, a drum boy, what are you thinking?
The easy answer is Neil Peart, but I definitely feel like I play more like Nick Mason.
I would agree.
Just because of the style of music and just the groove. He's more of a groovy. I'm not...
We're not a full-fledged
I'm not doing like
prog
fills
band.
every other measure and doing all this stuff, but Neil Peart is just the better drummer. Plus, like you said, he's more musical. But I think that goes hand in hand with he writes the lyrics. So like he knows all the stuff before Geddy Lee even knows the lyrics or how he's going to even sing them. So like he has a lot of things working in his head.
Like everything is like orchestrated. Like he's already planning for everything. Where it's not so like free flow.
It's thought out.
Form. Yeah,
very thought out. And with the time thing, like changing the downbeats or playing on the ands and switching every other measure, like it's impressive, and it sounds good. Neil Peart,
Yeah,
R.I.P.
I would say that the coolest thing about the Rush sound is that yes, it is extremely complex, but they have great songs.
Yep.
And you know how hard it is to do that? You know what I mean? Like you could sit there and make some crazy shit all day on your instrument, and musicians out there will understand. Like, yeah, you could learn like to play like in crazy time signatures or like all these scales or whatever, and you could tread. But it's like, can you do that and make a great song that people connect with and want to like sing to? Like that's hard to do both.
Yep.
So like the fact that they were able to do that just is really, it really says something. I think that definitely, I think that's a big one. Anyone else have anything to add on the drum topic?
Nah, I think I said enough.
I might have some bonus points later.
All right, yeah, save them up. Got the bonus round coming up at the end of the episode. Yeah. All right, well, that wraps up the 1 point questions for today's episode.
What about Richard Wright?
Yeah, you can. I mean, you could go Richard Wright and
Versus Geddy
and
Lee
Geddy
again.
Lee on keyboard.
Because Geddy Lee does
You
play
could.
all the synths
Yeah,
and stuff. You could.
True.
It's almost an unfair battle because I don't think of Geddy Lee as that guy.
I was just sticking with our layout.
Yeah, no,
I
for
was,
sure.
you know,
I feel you.
We kind of have a thing where like
I
most,
just said I don't
most
want,
bands have these, and we can talk about it if you want to talk about
I just
it.
said I didn't want to talk shit out there. You know, say we
Yeah,
forgot
that's
about
fine.
somebody, left somebody out.
Yeah. Can't forget about Rick Wright.
You know, there's a lot of bands out there that are gonna have more musicians than just vocals, guitar, bass, and drums. But for our layout, that's what we go with. It's the core, and you know, if need be for certain episodes, maybe we'll change it up. But I still feel like with these bands, that's the core at the end of the day.
It is definitely
so,
is.
All respect, but
That's how we do things here.
yeah,
Deal with it.
That should be our new fucking catchphrase.
New shirt
Deal with
up
it.
on ArborCreekTheBand.com.
Arbor Creek, deal with it. Anyway, we're going to move on to the 2 points. And I decided to move the debut album category, which is our next one, into the 2 points for this week.
Ooh.
I'm just trying to like figure it out as I go and move stuff around and all that jazz. So we're gonna be talking debut albums here. We got Piper at the Gates of Dawn and the Rush self-titled album. If you guys need to pull it up, check out the track list. Go ahead and do so. You know, it helps if you listening to us are looking at that, and you can really, you know, follow along and kind of have your input in your mind, and you hear what we got to say about it. And I think it'll really help. So yeah, we're gonna kick it off. I'll have Alex start it. What do you think?
Okay, to me, this might be the easiest decision of the whole entire night. To me, like, I don't know, when you think of a first album, you want something that's going to really make a statement. And I don't think Pink Floyd really popped off until later. And the first Rush album, yes, didn't have Neil Peart on it, but it has Finding My Way on it, freaking In the Mood, Working Man. Working Man, if you...
Working man.
Yeah, one, that's a classic song that still gets played on classic rock radio today, and it was their first hit in America. And I mean, yeah, if you watch the documentary, it blew up in Cleveland, and like that was like their first big break. So I mean, to me, I mean, it's just not a contest. It's not that I don't like the first. You know what? To be honest, I don't really care for Pink Floyd until you get the final lineup. I'm just being honest, but. Like, I listen to it, and it's like, yeah, it's like a darker... It's definitely like that very 60s British-sounding, 60s music. And it's not bad, but it's not the Floyd I love. Where Rush, like, to me, like, you could already see where they're going within the first album. You could see that they were capable of so much more. They just need the right puzzle piece, and they found that in Neil Peart. So, yeah, Rush debut, 100%.
Awesome. Larry, what's your take?
Both really good albums. I recently went back and listened to Piper at the Gates of Dawn. I haven't heard it in a few years with a new, like, I don't know, new ears, I guess. It was good. I like it a lot. It grew on me. I listened to it maybe 3 times. Rush, the first album I've known for a long time. And even though it's not the final form because you don't have Neil Peart, still a really good album. And like Al said, you still, like, heard the potential in the band where Pink Floyd, I feel like, was just... You know, they didn't fully blossom yet at that point. They still had Sid, and not that Sid was bad or anything like that, but it wasn't like how Al said. It's not core Pink Floyd, like heart Pink Floyd that most people would think of. I do really love the album, but I'm going to go with Rush.
All right. Frank?
There's just more songs on Piper at the Gates of Dawn that I like personally. So I'm going to go with Pink Floyd's debut. But it's funny. Lucifer Sam.
That's a good song.
I mean, there's a bunch of good songs on it. But like you guys are saying, even though they didn't have Neil Peart, but I think because they didn't have Neil Peart, that I just can't pick that as the best debut, in my opinion.
It's not your Rush.
Yeah.
No.
That's the same reason why I'm not picking Pink Floyd. It's not my Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's,
Piper for me.
All valid points. I definitely am on the Rush side of this one. Both are good. Both not the best. I don't think either of them are great debut albums in general, personally. I mean, they're good, but they're not like, oh my god, you know. But yeah, I don't know what the Piper That Gets Dawn for me. It's just like a lot of it's almost just like too much for me. There are tunes I like. I do like the Interstellar Overdrive.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that one. There's just songs I like, but like a lot of it to me is like okay. I'm just like doesn't really pull me in.
Well, like when they released that, they were like a party band.
Yeah,
In England,
yeah.
like they would go to places, take drugs. Everyone else was on drugs. Kind of the same thing that was happening over here in America, in like San Francisco,
Grateful Dead
around the same
started
time.
the same way.
Yeah.
You listen to the early Grateful Dead music; it's not far off from what was going on there.
No.
It's just experimental.
Yeah.
Like party.
Plus, there's a video out there with. I'm gonna save this for the bonus round. Actually,
All right, there you go. Save
I'm
it.
not gonna say nothing yet.
The suspense.
Zip it up and throw away the key. Well, Rush is going to take a 2-pointer here. The first one. Now we get into the fun stuff here. First up, we're doing the album versus album round. Or question, sorry. I have picked 2 albums to go head to head. And honestly, for anyone listening, when I do the album versus album or song versus song, sometimes I have a good reason, sometimes I don't. Sometimes it's just like my gut. I go with something that I think will be good and debatable, but I don't really have like a specific criteria. I'm kind of just going with it. So in case anyone's wondering, like, okay, why, you know? I don't know. I just kind of roll with it, and I kind of just pick things I think are a good matchup. Sometimes it might be because it's like the biggest. Sometimes it might be because, you know, I just think like they're equal levels for the bands or whatever. But there's no like specific criteria I'm going with on that decision. I just want to put that out there for anyone interested. But for today's album versus album, we're going with "Wish You Were Here" and "Moving Pictures."
Ooh, damn it!
Because I think that in a way, I almost feel like there might be somewhat the most equal. Where like, I hate to be like this, but if we throw Dark Side of the Moon in there, I think it's beating every album because it's
Yeah.
one of the greatest albums of all time.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do that. And yeah, I don't know. I just felt like this is a good matchup. So yeah, Wish You Were Here, Moving Pictures. Take a second to let that soak in, my boys. You know,
See, and this is like one of those questions you could have picked certain albums from certain bands, and like the other would have won. You know what I mean? Like if you picked like 2112 versus
That-
whatever.
I tried to get it
something
to
like
be
that.
even, you know?
Yeah.
So while you guys take a second to think it over, I'm going to read the track list of both albums for our listeners in case they don't have the access to pull it up. So Wish You Were Here. You have the Shine On You Crazy Diamond, parts 1 through 5. Welcome to the Machine. Have a Cigar. Wish You Were Here, the song, one of the greatest songs of all time. And then the rest of Shine On You Crazy Diamond. Moving on to Moving Pictures. Kicks it off with Tom Sawyer.
Mm.
I don't know how to pronounce the next one. Someone want to help me on that? Red Barchetta?
Red Barchetta.
Red Barchetta.
No.
Into YYZ. Classic. Limelight.
Mm.
The Camera Eye. Witch Hunt. And Vital Signs. 2 great albums. 2 great albums.
Fire.
Let's kick it off with Frank and work our way around.
Man, you're not making this easy for me, man.
I try.
I mean, again, we have 2 albums that are unskippable. You know, I guess it really depends on like the mood that I'm in. Like, do I want to have the whole big jam thing, like almost like a psychedelic trip with Floyd, or do I want to have just like song after song after song with Rush. I don't know, man. This is actually really hard.
That's what I was going for. I
Damn it.
That means I accomplished my goal. I wanted to make it a good debate. I think this episode is overall a good debate for us.
Hard.
We're big fans of both these bands, so
yeah, definitely.
This was a good matchup in our eyes with how much we value both of them in different realms.
I love both albums so much. I mean, we literally covered "Wish You Were Here," the band.
We did the whole.
We covered the whole album.
A long time ago at the Drunken Donut in Joliet. Shout out.
Woo!
Shout out Alex Zeke, our boy.
Woo, woo, woo!
If you're listening, we love you.
I'm gonna go with "Moving Pictures"
All right.
because it's my favorite Rush album,
Here we go.
and every song on it is like Witch Hunt, like the whole start of it with the little bells and ding, 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 and it's like it's a witch hunt. Like you can visualize what's happening. Yeah, so Rush.
Rush it is. Larry.
I'm gonna go with PiNk FlOyD. Wish You Were Here.
Ooh,
I just feel like I've connected with that album my whole life. I've heard it like my family when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Like songs from that album, like at family parties with my uncles, like having beers, and you hear like "Have a Cigar," you know, and you would hear some songs off of Moving Pictures from Rush too.
definitely.
But I just feel, definitely. But I just feel like I've heard those songs like on "Wish You Were Here" for so long, like my whole life. It's like a soundtrack, his soundtrack to my life. But yeah, I'm gonna go with "Wish You Were Here."
Awesome. Al?
Like I said, this could have went either way if you picked certain albums against other albums and stuff like that. To me, yeah, I don't know. This is a little bit easier. Like, admittedly, I'm a bigger Rush fan than a PiNk FlOyD fan, but I love both bands. Like, I would put them like both in my top 5, and I'm going "Wish You Were Here" because I think it's my favorite PiNk FlOyD album all the way through. Moving Pictures is not my favorite Rush album, but it's fucking awesome. But my favorite era of Rush is the Farewell to Kings Hemisphere years. And so that's my, what Geddy Lee called the epic years when they had just the craziest shit. That's my favorite era of Rush. And Moving Pictures is undoubtedly their biggest album. But Wish You Here, like front to back, Shining Crazy Diamond makes me cry. Like, legitimately. Rush songs make me cry too, but none on Moving Pictures.
Damn, really?
So, yeah, no.
Limelight.
They give me chills. Like, as I'm saying, as I'm saying, I ain't talking shit. Rush is top 3 of all time. They're one of my favorite bands. I'm very passionate, as you heard my other answers. But, but Wish You're Here is my favorite PiNk FlOyD album. For that reason, I'm going with Wish You're Here.
All right. Well, Floyd takes this 2-point question.
Wow, that was a vicious round.
That hurt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that did hurt
I
bad,
feel
bro.
like-
That's
I
what
feel
I was
like
going for, I
That
was
was
hoping.
tough. Yeah.
I'm down bad after that round.
My vote, I don't get a vote, technically.
You always put your 2 cents at the end, though.
But if I had to choose, I gotta go Wish You Were Here. Just because it's so good. I feel like, man, Floyd just has, they're just such an album band to me, Like, it's just such an album band. It's a perfect whole piece, beginning to end. So let's move on to the song versus song battle. I tried to do something weird here. We'll see how it goes. Might work, might not. From Rush, we're gonna go YYZ. And with PiNk FlOyD, we're gonna do Echoes. So Echoes versus YYZ. I try to go a little different route here than I do with most of the artists. I feel like a lot of times I go with like more songs, and this one I said let's go with something a little bit more on the
Deep in the cut.
deeper side. You know, I mean, YYZ is really popular, but it's a musical popularity, instrumental. So, Al, start it off.
I mean, one's longer and one's not. Well, I mean, we could start there. One's really long, one's not really long. But I mean, I don't know, dude. To me, I'm going YYZ just because it just brings me back to when I was a kid, and it was honestly, I mean, it just takes me back to when I was a kid first learning the bass. I would literally just like listen to a bunch of Rush albums, and I was like, I need to learn this shit. You know what I mean? So just try, and I'm still not that great. I can't play it all the way through still. Like, it's hard. And I mean, I just love that riff, and I love like it just that whole song, it just takes you on a ride in like, I don't know, how long is that song? Like 4 minutes? It's really not that long.
It's not that long.
But then, you know, it starts from the da 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 going into the freaking riff, and then it has the bass solos and the drum solos, and then it goes into the
guitar solo.
The guitar solo that's like it's like a serpent and a snake like coming out of the freaking.
When the riff for the solo is sick too, that it's all slowed down compared to the rest of the song.
Yes. And I mean, I don't know. I guess it just speaks to me more. And, you know, like, yeah, I don't know. Before I go too long winded, I'm going YYZ. I'm sure you guys will have more to say. So, YYZ.
Awesome. Larry?
Both great songs. Doesn't need to be said. Thing is about Echoes for me, because like I was saying prior, like I've heard Pink Floyd since I was a kid. Most people that listen to classic rock have, and you could say the same about Rush. But I never like saw them. You just saw the, you know, the Dark Side or the guy shaking hands, dudes on fire. But like the first time I saw Pink Floyd visually was live at Pompeii, and it was Echoes. And that was the first time I was actually looking at them, and I was like, damn, this is Pink Floyd. And like they're in the middle of the Coliseum, and it's just empty, and Echoes is just happening, and you're just drawn to it, and you're like watching it happen, and then like you see David Gilmour play, and like you just watch the swell, and it's just insane. And I totally was captured by it. And if we're going song for song, I have to go Echoes, Pink Floyd.
Awesome.
It's because he was shirtless, wasn't it?
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
The hair? Are you kidding me? God.
definitely had me bricked up.
Could have been a model.
He was bricked, dude.
Could have
And
been
the
a model,
Strat, those epic just cries, like, oh, man. They go into that whole, like, second half with when the keyboard and the bass just start bopping away, and then he just comes in with these leads, and it's just like, it sounds like space, like meteors flying through space. It's just awesome.
The ocean.
Yeah, I mean,
Vice versa.
yeah.
Definitely one of the coolest live performances on video.
Oh, it's epic.
It's amazing. And it's just so badass looking.
Frankie Dank.
Frankie boy.
Again, tough. It's a toughie. You got me toughed up. I mean, YYZ is sick, but I think that the reason Echoes has an edge for me would be because of the vocals. Like, they're so deep. Like, no pun intended, because like it's about like being deep into the ocean. Like, but yeah, it's about loneliness, like the inner man. Definitely Echoes. It's just so. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of what you said, Larry. Like when you watch them play it, and they actually play the whole thing. It's just so crazy and impressive. Only because it is such a long song.
No,
And to play something that long with that much like conviction, and they're not fucking around.
David Gilmour's slide work.
He
Just like-
invented a
like,
whole
what's
new
going
sound
on?
by plugging in the chords backward on his wah pedal. That's how you get all those high pitched, the seagull tones and
Yeah.
stuff.
Man.
And it's just the lyrics of the whole song are just amazing. And Roger Waters, you know,
And the riff. I mean, the riffs.
when they go to,
awful
when they go
riff.
to the jam part,
The boom doom 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 doom
Yeah.
doom 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 doom. Like
the drums are so huge.
That is one of the most epic
Powerful.
riffs of all time.
The bass line too. Again, boom, doo doo
That's what I'm saying.
doom, and then
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
It's like
It
he's
sounds
fighting
meteors, dude.
yeah, it's
Crazy.
I don't know.
All right.
Mm.
Well, that's going to wrap up our 2-point round today. We're going to move on to the 3-pointers, which the same as always. We're going to start it off with which band is more influential on our band? I feel like this might be tough in a sense, but we'll see how it goes. Let's start off with Larry on this one.
Sweet. This is a good one. I feel like overall as a band, I would probably say Pink Floyd. But in the roots of becoming our own individual players to then form the band, I would say Rush. Because like Al said, I wasn't mature enough for Pink Floyd when I first heard Pink Floyd. I mean, I was mature enough, but not as much as I would become. With Rush, I always loved them from the start. Where with Pink Floyd, I liked them and then I loved them. So now I would say Pink Floyd, but I would have said Rush for a solid portion of my life. But I'm gonna go, as we're talking in present time, Pink Floyd.
Good answer.
Frank?
I mean, yeah, basically same thing Larry said, and I said it earlier too with the whole drum round. But Pink Floyd, I have people who I show the music to sometimes, like at my work and whatnot, and they just say we sound like Pink Floyd. But I just think it's because we groove, and we,
Which is weird because, like, we do have a Floyd thing about us, but we're totally, like, a blues rock band that's, like, we're not as spacey.
we're
as
more
you
rock
think
and roll
of.
than Pink Floyd.
Yeah,
that's
more,
definite.
we're not as spacey or, like,
Not as English.
yeah, or that.
But we're
Like old
We're-
English,
But it's
like,
in there.
It is in there
It's for sure in there.
Like British.
we got some dark undertones and like
True.
stuff like that, like minor and like
Yeah. We both have a David and an Alex.
the Strat.
It's true.
For me, I mean, yeah, I guess influence on myself for sure. Rush. I mean, they're one of my favorite bands of all time. But yeah, on the band I would say 110% Pink Floyd. I think like we groove a lot like them. As individual players, like I would draw more parallels, like especially like to Frank and Larry, like on like to the guitar and drum aspect. I would definitely pick Pink Floyd in that aspect. And I've also heard like people say too that like we give off Floyd vibes in a way, which is weird because we're not like spacey or trippy or like acid rock sounding at all. We're definitely like more of the blues rock realm, but I don't know.
Maybe when we jam, though.
When we jam, we get a little weird, but
When
we
we
don't
start-
have the effects. It's just the
Yeah.
way we play
When we
is
start,
kind of psychedelic.
when we start jamming, I feel like
that's when the
we
Floyd
get
comes
into
on.
a Floyd realm a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, on the band itself, yeah, Floyd's gonna take the round for sure. So I don't think nothing more needs to be said on that.
Yep. Well, next question. Which band do you think had more impact on music as a whole?
Oof.
I think this is a little tough here.
Oof.
This is hard, dude.
So I'll start this off with my take on it, and then I'll pass it along. I think Rush had a really large impact on a lot of people musically and a lot of musicians specifically, which is huge. I think that kind of going back to what Alex said about like bass players saying like Geddy Lee's like would be like a bass player's bass player, you know? Same with the drums there. And I think from a musician's perspective, which is a huge part of music, I think you could almost say that Rush was very influential to a lot of people when it comes to playing their instruments.
Yeah.
But Pink Floyd, I think, is more of an influence to people when it comes to the writing of songs or
Yeah.
albums.
Yes.
and trying to create an art out of your music and making it like a bigger picture and like a vibe and giving everything an energy. So it's like two sides to the coin, really, the way however you want to look at it. But yeah, tell me your guys' thoughts on who you think is the bigger impact on music as a whole. Let's kick it off with Al.
I don't know if this might be the first question I won't be able to answer. But I mean, if I have to pick one, I don't know, man. This is really hard. I guess I'd have to go. I think. I mean, all your points are pretty dead on. I guess I'm just gonna go with Pink Floyd on the songwriting aspect, and I feel like they had more hit songs, perhaps, and things like that. So I think maybe that, to me, Rush is they're huge too, and they're one of the biggest bands of all time. But to me, they almost have that they have that Grateful Dead thing going for them, where it's like they're a big band, but they had like a big cult following. A lot of people follow them around the country and things like that. It's like, they could sell out 3 nights in a row at a place, but it's all going to be the same people.
Yeah.
Where I think Pink Floyd touches more people. So for that reason, I think I'm like, The Wall was fucking huge. That album is ginormous, and so yeah, Pink Floyd.
All right. Frank, what's your take?
I mean, if I could pick like half and half, because I feel like both bands offered different things to musicians and to the world. Like I feel like if we never had Geddy Lee, we might never have Les Claypool, and if we never had the lyrics of Neil Peart, people wouldn't feel comfortable writing lyrics like that about like really grand, like the Fountain of Youth and certain things.
Fantasy realm.
Like almost like a fantasy novel, but in a song. But also then with Floyd, you could almost say the same thing because they just wrote amazing songs, and like you guys were saying, they touched a lot of people. But if I have to pick one, I don't know. I'll probably just pick Rush. Fuck it. Why not?
Fuck it.
I feel like you really can't pick a wrong answer with a lot of these ones with these two bands.
I
Like,
mean,
One
the
to
end
one.
of the day, man, they're some of the best of all time.
Yeah.
The best to do it,
goats.
Larry.
What do you think, Lair?
Bigger impact on music and musicians, I would say Rush. Bigger impact on general public, I would say Pink Floyd. And I feel I would personally go with Pink Floyd just because no matter how many times you hear Wish You Were Here, everyone that knows that song has a song dedicated for somebody, and that will never get old, and that song will live forever for that reason.
Yeah.
And that reason alone, I have to go Pink Floyd.
It's a great reason.
Yeah. I mean, it'll always make you feel special, no matter how many times you hear it, because you're always going to think about somebody that you're going to wish is going to be there.
Yep.
No matter what, so.
Definitely. Great song.
Profound, Larry. You don't usually get that deep. You gave me chills, brother.
That's just what it is. Just timeless.
Definitely one of the greatest songs of all time. Like, legitimately. Out of all realms of music, not just rock music. It's one of the best songs of all time.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it.
Yeah. That's the thing, is like you cannot be into rock music, but you're probably gonna know Wish You Were Here, and you're probably gonna love that song.
And because of the connection that it has, it's like almost that it has with everyone, like to themselves, it's almost like disrespectful to knock that song.
Yep.
Because it's such a sentimental song for so many different people.
It's very powerful.
It's like you can't. It's just such a good song.
Well, like we just saw Roger Waters, and like when he played that song, and I don't remember the last time I was at a show where everybody was singing, and it was so intense. It was very intense. It was crazy.
It was dope, yeah.
Touched my heart.
Amazing. Well, we've reached that time. We've reached that point in the episode where things can go haywire.
Uh-oh.
The bonus round. We fuck it all up.
We are now entering bonus round. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, buckle your seatbelts. Hang on tight, because shit's about to get real.
Oh shit.
We're going to give out points for whatever, for any reason at all. It could be anything. Let's see what everybody's got today. Let's start off with Frank.
All right.
Give us some bonus points.
I'm going to give bonus points to PiNk FlOyD for what I almost said earlier. But there's a video out there of them playing Interstellar Overdrive, I think from 68, maybe even 67. And Frank Zappa is playing with them. It's just it's badass. You know, where you would never see them two play together. And they're on that super small stage somewhere in England, you know. Just one of those happenstances. And I'm going to do a first for the bonus round. I'm actually going to deduct 1 point from Rush. Because I saw Rush on the Clockwork Angels tour, and those bastards didn't play Limelight. And I was salty. Actually, I was actually upset that they didn't play probably the one song I really wanted to hear them play.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
You can't deduct.
I'm deducting
points.
it.
Well, then I'm giving 6.
I just did. You can do what you want.
Nah, 5's the cap. 5's the cap. It's
5
all right.
and -5.
Oh,
Okay. That's
Wait,
fair.
no. You don't give Rush -5. That's not fair.
No, I'm saying
You
the
could-
cap
you
is
could-
5 and -5.
You
can
could
give
give up
5
to negative.
and you can give -5.
see what I started.
New rules. New rules.
Game changer, literally.
Order in the court. All right. That's fair. I said, shit's getting real. We're going to fuck it all up in this round.
You know, who do they think they are? They could just play whatever they want?
Yeah.
You play what I want to hear.
No, yeah. You know what? To add to that, if you're in a band, now I'm not saying this is specific with that situation, but if you're in a band and you have like certain songs that launch your career or
Exactly.
made people spend money to make music your living and you don't fucking play those songs, I lose a little bit of respect for you. Because it's aggravating. Because you know what? I get it. You might be sick of the song. You might be like, oh, we don't really like that. Well, you know what?
You shouldn't have wrote it.
The reason people pay money to let you do what you want to do for a living is because of those fucking songs. So
Yeah.
you should fucking play that shit and
Yeah.
give people what they want. Because at the end of the day, music is about your audience, and they're the ones allowing you to do it. So you should be grateful for that. And that shit aggravates me.
Yeah, you wouldn't be anywhere
Now,
without us.
Let me play
Especially 40 years in.
devil's advocate really quick. If you're talking about a band like Rush, the people going to see Rush want to hear the deep shit. I'm just saying, like for the most part,
I'm
that's
not
just my
talking about
opinion.
them. I'm saying in general.
I'm saying like I know
For
like,
the
Limelight's
per
sick.
episode, I feel you, Al. But in general, I feel
Yeah.
you, David. Yeah.
He just
agree.
he led me down the rant.
yeah.
It's when
all good.
when we saw Alabama Shakes and they didn't play Hold On, I was pissed.
Oh,
I was
dude,
like, what the
yeah.
fuck are you doing?
They
didn't?
didn't, dude. That was BS.
See?
Great,
BS.
but great set. Show was amazing. But how are you not going to play the one song everyone wants to hear? Everybody was disappointed. Everybody was let down.
People were yelling
That
it,
was
and they didn't
bullshit.
play it. And at the
I
end,
mean-
they're like, "Are they going to come out and play it?"
I will say that maybe because it was at Bonnaroo, the time limits are strict. Maybe they planned to play it. It didn't work out. I'm sure that happens. I will forgive you if that's the situation. But if you're purposely not playing this, like your hit songs, the songs that people really like, what are you really doing? Like, come on, you know? Like that's you got to respect the stuff that like put you there. Side rant. Sorry, I had to
Hold
get
on.
that out.
I'm not done with my round yet, though.
Oh, okay.
So I actually I'm going to give Rush points because on that same show in 2010 when I saw them, they brought out the whole Blackhawks team with the Stanley Cup
Okay, that's fucking
because they were at the United Center and they had just won the cup and that's when they started their
Chicago.
dynasty.
and they're Canadian, so they love their hockey.
Yeah, exactly. It was probably once in a lifetime thing. I mean, you'll probably never see that ever again.
That's honestly amazing.
How many
I'll never
points
do
do you
that.
give
Yeah,
him?
how many points you want to give him for that?
I'm gonna give him 5 points for that.
But that makes it 4 because he deducted one.
Either
Right,
way,
no, correct? Right?
yeah. There's
would
there's
say,
definitely a deduction in there.
See, it's 4.
Yeah.
5 minus 1.
So it's
Well, yeah, 'cause
5
you
points. It's
deducted.
5 points given. 1
But
point.
minus
Get off
one,
your
yeah.
ass and do some math. All right.
Get off your ass. Let's do some math.
Oh,
No,
good old
it's
JB,
9.
Larry, let me get your bonus points.
Okay. I'm gonna give Rush 3 points for Geddy Lee. Just being Geddy Lee and playing keyboards and
With his feet.
just being who he is, and just Rush being who they are in general. All of them. I'm just gonna give them 3 points for their. I don't know how to explain it. Like their torch that they had. You know.
Yeah.
So I'll give them that. I'm gonna give 4 points to PiNk FlOyD for Dogs on Animals.
Hell yeah.
Because I love that song and Animals in general as an album, because I feel like we didn't speak on that album a lot in this. That's my favorite PiNk FlOyD album, and I'm gonna give them points for that. And I just love that album, and the guitar work on it speaks to me. So I'll give them 4 bonus points for that.
Fair enough. Al?
Okay. So I'm gonna give. I'm gonna give 3 points to Rush for the kimonos on 2112. And I'm gonna give it added 2 points to Rush for their individuality as musicians, but also being a unit at the same time, because you can all pick them out and you can all they're all in the argument for being the greatest players in the world on their own right, and the fact that they're in a band together is fucking crazy.
Like
and
a
the fact
supergroup.
that they all got together is even crazier. So that alone,
Yeah.
I just made a mind-blown thing. You guys can't see me. And then I'm giving 5 points to PiNk FlOyD, and there's only one person in the room that's going to understand this. I'm going to say one word, and I want you to chime in. Baja.
Oh God, Great Gig in the Sky.
Dude, so we used to play a game called Baja on the Xbox 360 when we were like 11, 12, whatever. We were kids. And it's an ATV game. It's a racing game. But the thing is, when you got in a crash, it went in slow motion. So when we were kids, purposely, we would crash it just to see how far we can get.
You
And
just have extreme wipeouts.
extreme
Yeah, I definitely
wipeouts,
did that in games too. so
two
I don't
great
really-
gig in the sky. But we would time it perfectly from the intro. It'd be like, I was in the right. All that stuff, and all of a sudden, we try to time the crash.
And they would all go in like slow motion. It was so good.
And
It was so
but
funny.
kids do stupid shit.
Oh, yeah.
And then after we'd be like, all right, start it over. And then we would start it all over again. So 5 points for that. I'm glad you remember it. Actually, I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
Baja.
classic.
Good game.
It was a good game.
Those are my points.
I'm giving 1 point to PiNk FlOyD for having someone with the name David,
That's a fair assessment.
because I can do what I want. I think I might have to just give Rush a 5-pointer. I think, yeah, I'm gonna give Rush 5 points, and it's gonna be just for the fact that they probably have the most amount of epic pieces of music, in my opinion. You know, does that make sense? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Oh, dude.
What other band has multiple songs that are just holy shit? Musically, it's just Jesus. It's
Zygus
wow.
X1.
Yeah, you know, it's their music is so epic. The lyrics
Da-da-da,
with the whole
da-da-da.
fantasy vibe, it's just they have such a unique, big thing, and so I just want to give them the points for that, you know. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna do.
I want to give another point to Rush. One more, whatever I had. One more for the moment I had when Neil Peart passed away. You know, you see it, you see it on your phone and shit, and it's like, what? You know, we're all in the chat talking this is unbelievable. and it's just like on your mind all day, and it's like you feel that because of how close you feel to his music. There is a connection, even though you may have never met him. You know what I mean?
100%.
And I'm on my way home from work, and they were playing Xanadu, and like I was just like so into them. Like there was just like a moment for me that I'll never forget on my way home from work the day Neil Peart died, and Xanadu was on the radio. And at the end, when they have the chimes and I started crying.
Yep.
And it was just like, it just felt so right. And rip to Neil Peart.
We played the Cubby Beer that night.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
we did.
And
We hinted Tom Sawyer.
Yep.
Yes.
And the Tom Sawyer we put at the end of one of our songs.
Yeah.
We didn't even practice it. We just talked about it and we fucking nailed it.
Yeah. We're like, we're just going to do it.
And for the homage to Rick Wright from Pink Floyd passed away. And rip to
R.I.P.
him too.
Yeah, when he passed away, that was definitely a weird day.
It hurt. I cried too.
And
honestly,
I don't consider myself to be like a huge Rush fan, but then like when he passed away and I realized like
Significant.
how many times I really have completely jammed out to Rush.
Yep.
And it's like it's never been like my thing. I've never been a huge like prog person and all that, but like when he died is when it really hit me that I was like, wow, I'm a way bigger fan than I give myself credit for. I
Yeah.
was like, holy shit, like I actually feel something and I'm actually saddened, Like not saying that, I just didn't think about it. And then when it hit me, I kind of had that realization. I was like, damn, dude, like this is like definitely one of my favorite bands. Like that, it really sunk in for me.
and the way he went was so Neil Peart. Like he didn't
Yeah.
want anybody to know about
Nope.
it because he just lived in privacy and he didn't want to know anyone to know he was sick. He kept it between him and his family and his band members. And I mean, like, it's cool that his wishes got kept. He was a private person.
Wow.
Let's not end on a somber tone, huh? So who won, David?
Well, in today's episode, Rush versus Pink Floyd. Rush finished with 22 points, and Pink Floyd finished with 23.
Oh my
Another
god.
close one,
What
dude.
the fuck?
This
Hold
was the
on.
hardest one, in my opinion.
I
that we've
changed my
done so
mind of
far.
deducting points from Pink Floyd because Frank did it.
You're just going to deduct one, make it a tie?
And then you make it a bonus round.
Oh, my Lord. Yep.
Wow.
Pink Floyd takes it by 1 point. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great round. Great episode. Two bands that we love dear to our hearts. And I think it was a great discussion.
This was the hardest and closest episode, I think.
Yeah, I
thus
think
far.
for us,
Yeah.
personally, as a band, like this was most difficult, which was fun. And we're gonna have episodes that are a little bit more far out there for us, and some that are close like this to our taste and our love. And I'm excited to see what other ones we can get going that really challenge us.
Well, yeah. That's it, folks. That was Arbor Creek's Battle Supreme. If you guys have any ideas for any, showdowns you'd like to see in the future, hit us up on Facebook or Instagram. That's it. Peace out, guys.
Bye-bye.
Toodaloo.